Welcome to the Expert Talks by Kalkine TV. I'm Sage, and today's guest is Mr Joe Roets, the founder, CEO and architect of the award-winning blockchain business called Dragonchain. Known as America's blockchain and originally created at the Walt Disney Company back in 2014, Dragonchain is a hybrid blockchain platform focused on solving business problems at an enterprise scale. So Dragonchain holds multiple cornerstone patents on blockchain technology ranging from scalability, interoperability and enterprise process orchestration. And we'll find out more about these today and much more, so keep watching. Very excited to bring you live today Mr Joe Roets, founder and CEO of Dragonchain. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Hello, thank you.
Great to have your company today, and I'm sure the viewers are keen to hear your insights. So let's get started. Incorporated back in 2014, Joe, that is very early on in the history of crypto. Can you share the inspiration behind your brand, please?
Yes. Well, I'm a longtime architect, and I had gotten into blockchain in 2010, and I was focused quite a bit on the scalability and making the technology work for a normal business. And when Disney brought me in, we started building in 2014, and at first we were called the Disney Private Blockchain Platform. And when we open sourced all of the code and released everything in 2016, we had to come up with a name that did not include the name Disney or any of their trademarks. And dragons seemed fitting for a Disney sourced brand. And we have a nice mascot. In fact, you can see the mascot here. That's the oldest version, but either way. It was a very friendly form of branding for what at the time might have sometimes been a little scary to some, or at least very abstract technology. So that was the gist of it.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing with us. So that was a very friendly blue-looking mascot dragon there. And very fitting for the metaverse and the development of blockchain, as dragons may have been seen by some people and maybe not seen by others in the very distant past. So thanks, Joe. Great to have you on the show. As a sector leader, you've been ideating blockchain since the beginning, helping businesses now getting blockchain ready as this emerging tech makes its way into the mainstream. What services does Dragonchain offer? Or wait, should I pose that differently? What do you not do? Because you're involved in quite a lot, I noticed from your website.
Right. It's very, we try to take a very agnostic, industry agnostic approach. So we don't focus on a single industry at all. We tend to focus on, I guess, the platform side of the business, where blockchain as a service, which would include advanced types of tokenization. We do a lot of scalability work, and basically making real systems work with blockchain, or leverage blockchain for either proof or compliance proof, or some of the more advanced capabilities are what I like to call behavior systems, where if you look at the core result of every single crypto out there, key being Bitcoin itself, is that the technology is obviously useful and valuable and very unique in influencing human behavior. And in the case of Bitcoin, it's to get people to mine Bitcoin. But in a lot of the other systems that we've built, we're looking at more advanced ways to influence the way that people work with the system, and very both with the tokenization, but also with some other number of other things that we can plug in, but we keep it very open, that if there is a use case that someone might have focused on all of these various capabilities that blockchain can provide, we're there. So
That's great to hear, because I think people are coming up with new ideas weekly, maybe even daily. So it's great to hear that you do provide this type of service. Is it open globally, or do you mainly focus on American clients?
Definitely globally. We do a lot. We probably do more work outside of the U.S. than inside. But we're U.S. based, but we don't we definitely don't restrict anything. We're open to working with anyone.
Fantastic, great to hear it. Well, a lot of our clients are APAC based, so hopefully you'll hear from some of them soon. So Joe, please tell us a little bit more about your holy grail blockchain patents. What does this mean for Dragonchain?
Okay, yeah, and we went in there and primarily we patented a few of these things to protect ourselves because we knew we were quite early, and we knew with our architecture we had some unique potential to build some of the things that people really know were going to be important, like interoperability. We filed for that patent because our system was already implemented. It was already operational. We knew that we could already do that and scale and effectively interoperate with a lot of different systems. In fact, we have what we call out as 4 dimensions of different types of interoperability, all the way from the typical thing that you'd hear about on crypto Twitter, like tokenization interoperability, all the way to a functional, utilitarian-focused interoperability between traditional systems and blockchain. And we have a lot of really unique ways to handle that. We also received a patent on blockchain scaling, which, although it's a little abstract, it actually defines the use of an objective measure of time as scarcity in a blockchain network. And we've proven it out. It really works, and it's pretty amazing, but it's very abstract, it's very unique, it's kind of hard to describe. And then we also have things like smart contract orchestration, which, because of our unique model, we can effectively tie smart contracts together into an advanced orchestration. So if you had an enterprise business that already understood in their infrastructure how to orchestrate a process from beginning to end, which might include lots of complexity, we can model that entire process, including the human elements, with smart contracts, and it's very powerful. And we're just getting started with seeing how people are going to use it. The entire reason that we built this is for the unanticipated things that people will come up with, to build on blockchain. So it's pretty interesting.
Absolutely. I've heard that the technology in smart contracts can save a lot of businesses a lot of money if it starts operating in this new envisioned way. So it sounds like the system's catching up with you, Joe. Sounds like you've been there waiting for all this to start to unroll and unfurl around you, and it's starting to happen. So very exciting space to be watching what Dragonchain's up to.
Yes. I mean, I'll say a lot of people will say it, we're very early, but I think people who watch the price movements and things like that, it's sometimes hard to tell because it looks like if you come from the financial world, it looks like a bubble. If you come from the tech world, it's very foreign to a lot of technology people. But I do think that what we've seen is probably going to be a blip, because once a lot of the projects understand and realize the real fundamental use, primarily in my opinion, again, on the human behavioral components and how to incentivize people to follow a certain workflow, it's going to be a radically different world, because there are a lot of things that you can really make efficient with by applying marketplaces. Where right now people, you think in some situations there's no way to measure what really is a marketplace. It could be a political marketplace, between groups inside of a company. And once you can model that and really measure it, then everything can be much more effective and more transparent. It's not even that it's an issue where you're pushing people to do something that they wouldn't want to do. It is much more akin to opening up an objective and merit-based system that they can see how they can be rewarded, and let them do those things that they can already do with a lot more fairness. So there's a lot of really neat applications coming.
Yes, I've heard of some bridges being built now between NFTs and DeFi, which will hopefully create more liquidity is what I'm trying to say. But Joe, very interesting points you just brought up there. Do you think that people's behaviour with blockchain and cryptocurrency will be impacted or influenced by whether they view it as an asset class or a commodity or emerging tech? Do you reckon, is that what you're saying, that their view of it may then influence the way they behave with this technology?
Yes, and it is, it's hard to describe very quickly, but if you can imagine that you lay out goals. So you have a business or even a simple website, and you lay out some goals, and normally you have to have moderators trying to push people to do things the right way or to train them to do things the right way. But with a properly applied blockchain or crypto system, you can take those how do I say, sometimes complex, sometimes not, real world activities, and tune them by providing the transparency, providing the rewards, and then openly showing people what the rewards are. So you have the incentives and disincentives for various actions, including things like security or people trolling each other on the internet, that you can effectively apply behavior systems to those issues and clear up a lot of what you would otherwise have happen. And that's not the best way to describe it, but it's very interesting because it's all combined. And if you look at the crypto space right now, a tremendous number of people look at it in terms of the charts and the numbers themselves, the price of Bitcoin, the price of Ethereum, the price of anything else, and that's always going to be there, and it's not a negative. It is a positive thing, especially to gather attention. But effectively, the fundamental utility of those tokens is, in my opinion, far more important, because once that's tied in, you could say that utility tokens applied to a project are, if you want to look at it from a financial angle, or from that context, that those tokens could effectively be a much more powerful and much more direct indicator of the value of the project itself, because they're tied directly to the utility. It isn't like I can take a share of Apple stock and do something with it. I can buy it, I can sell it. But with a crypto token, I can, in many cases, not always, but in many cases, I can do something with it, which might be tied to DeFi. It might be a financial action, but it might be a totally a transaction or action completely unrelated to any financials at all. It might literally be like a token at a laundromat. I can go in and I can wash some clothes. I can take a token to the arcade. I can play a game. And when you tie those things to the tokens and make the tokens more advanced than just a static thing that I can put in, and if instead I can have other measures, how long I held it, how I used it in the past, how often I'm in the facilities, all of those things can be taken into account and can reward me more with either mining or with production of other tokens, or with better access to the system. There are all types of really interesting advanced capabilities you can plug in, and we're just getting started. I mean, probably I'd say 80% of my job over the past few years has been trying to figure out the best way to communicate these concepts that are really abstract, right? And knowing that everybody has different angles to look at this technology, it's really unique, because you have extremely advanced technologists, and then you have people who are very focused on the financials, all coming together. And it's kind of messy, but we're moving far. So it's taken a while. I'm impatient, but we're
Well, you've been there right from the beginning. I can see why. But things are developing quickly. As we can see, a lot of people are jumping on board, a lot of institutional investment into the space. And those emerging economies, the developing countries that are adopting the payment transactions, peer-to-peer transactions of crypto, that's interesting to see because it is helping out those people to gain access to this type of technology. But Joe, on that note, do you think people with limited knowledge or information about computer science will be disadvantaged as crypto develops into the mainstream more?
I hope not. A lot of what we're working on is focused more on, I guess you could say, the governance side of things, where you have people who understand either human nature or they understand a particular role in a system. They might be a master at doing one thing in a system, and they can effectively help tune the system to better do that one thing. At some level, of course, you will need software people to implement those and integrate various things. But in my opinion, a lot of the issues that we have with adoption and even scalability, oddly enough, in the crypto space come from the fact that it is largely right now controlled by, I wouldn't say controlled by, but influenced by engineers that aren't looking at the business aspects. So they tend to get a little more dogmatic or religious about some of the technology. And, we try to step back and take a little more, a little higher level view of things. And across the board, one of our biggest goals that I think we're still in the middle of it, probably, but we've made great strides in simplifying the user interfaces on our systems in a way that you do not have to be a technophile. You don't even have to like technology to use our systems. You could go to din.social and see one of probably the prime example of this, but there are others. There's Rainmaker, and there's Eternal. If you go to eternal.report, that it uses really advanced forms of blockchain tech on the back end, but the front end is usable by a normal person. You don't have to have a hardware wallet. You don't have to have MetaMask installed. You don't have to have anything that a normal crypto system would typically have, and yet people can use these straight out of the box right away. It just feels like a traditional website, but we're using all of this technology in the back end to do the things that really matter. And there are so many different ways to look at that. It's really interesting, and that's been a huge goal, because if you can't get normal people in and using this technology, it's going to take a lot longer to build the adoption that we really need.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to have these dialogues and conversations with people like yourself, the experts who know all about it, and we're just helping to raise awareness of the ordinary folk who will hopefully one day also adopt this technology or just pique their interests a bit. So Joe, Disney has its own municipality currency for use in the park grounds. That's been going for quite a while now, and so it seemed like a perfect fit for crypto and blockchain to begin there. But these days, anti-money laundering, know your customer, it's all becoming a lot more important with these type of peer-to-peer transactions too. How does Dragonchain help to keep the crypto sector safe from cyber criminals, please?
Okay, we have a lot of different angles there. One of the primary things we did, which turned into our scalability patent, was the development of a technology focused around measuring time on blockchain. And our very first capability that we plugged in on with that was I wouldn't say train, but to educate the people who were Dragonchain fans because they were already Disney fans, and a lot of those people were not crypto people. So we were really worried because there were so many scams going around in 2016, 2017, 2018, and people lost a lot of real money. So we put this system in place to effectively reward people with a measurable value for doing certain things that vastly increased their security, which primarily moving their tokens to a hardware wallet rather than keeping them on exchange. And it turned into something that we plugged into our network to scale it. And that's just one thing. We also have, I guess, a lot of what we look at is any of the fintech products that we provide, where they are a lot of times focused on fraud prevention, as an example, and with identity systems, AML, KYC, that what we try to do is to establish a framework where any business can come in from anywhere in the world and work with their legal team or whatever they already have down as a policy, and effectively codify that into smart contracts, which with Dragonchain is extremely easy. It's built to do what would normally be very complex things like that on blockchain. It's a very simple process to do that, but by codifying those, the great thing is no matter who you need to prove something to, if you need to prove to a customer that you followed the privacy policy that you've established with publicly or under GDPR in the US under CCPA, you can codify that and you can prove to your own user where they can they can independently prove that you are following that policy by just giving them that data. And it can be selective exposure. Hey, look, this is your data, you're about to delete it, I'm going to give you all of these records, and you can actually check these transactions all the way up to Bitcoin and Ethereum and know that we're telling the truth. And it would cost us billions of dollars to lie to you about this. And then you think about it on the other side, any other KYC or AML or any other bank regulation that could be attached can effectively be proven to the regulators or to the tax authorities that, look, we really did XYZ as required. And that becomes really powerful because it's all automated. You don't have to have 1,000 accountants in a room to be able to pull together that data. And what's better, whoever you are providing that data to does not have to trust you. They can view the data, they can view the circumstances, and there are a lot of more detailed nuances to it, and proving that data and having data quality. But the fact that it's on chain and the fact that we can scale it to make it inexpensive to put on chain means that you can prove anything that might be a risk right now in a traditional business. So, and then it could go into identity. There are very amazing things. We built a system in 2019 related to COVID that was effectively using decentralized identity platform to let someone prove to their boss that they had either had the proper tests or whatever was necessary without exposing anything of the medical data. So we were able to in the US have a HIPAA compliant system very quickly because it was decentralized. So I could show to you that my score is a certain amount, which has a threshold either provided by the state or the company to say, okay, you can come into work, without exposing my actual medical data, what my test results were, if I'm vaccinated, anything else. So there's some neat stuff there, and we do a lot of that, but it's very typically a little bit counterintuitive.
Well, I'm hearing you. What you're saying there sounds very interesting about blockchain itself being public ledger and a record-keeping system that's open source. It sounds great. So, Joe, what about the future trend predictions? Quantum computers aren't that far away. How impactful are the regulators going to be? Like, do you find clients are hesitant because they don't know what the regulations are going to do and how much they're going to stir things up? Or is it because by jumping on the blockchain, do you think people feel that they may be isolated in a separate universe that's not yet part of the real world? What are you finding from your clients?
It looks to us like behavior systems are a golden ticket. They're so powerful and so effective, and when people see them, they don't even know they're in place. They just tend to work, and so it becomes a very organic, very natural way to build these capabilities into what your real business goals are. Not coming up with, oh, we need to get into crypto, so let's put together some NFTs and sell them. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but you think about what could really be done in the with the main mission of a company. It's remarkable. So I think that's really where things will be going. There are a lot of other trends. There's definitely decentralized governance, which in my opinion is even a really good key component of building behavior systems, because the more influence that your best users have on the future developments of your systems, the better off you're going to be. Your systems will be more efficient, they'll be more natural, they'll be far more powerful than your competitors, and that's a big part of what I see coming. There are, of course, a lot of other utilities that will be added, even with some of the NFT projects that are going on. I think, and it's an interesting world, but the gaming world there's a little bit of pushback right now on some of the play to earn and NFT modeling that's going on, but it's interesting because I think we might need a little more time before some of it rolls out, but there are some intensely important capabilities that can be added to traditional gaming platforms that I know are coming, but it might be another season before we get to that. So we'll see.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights. Really found that very informative and interesting. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And viewers, if you just joined us, we just had a very interesting discussion with Dragonchain CEO and founder, Mr Joe Roets. Please watch the full interview at Kalkine Media's YouTube channel, and keep watching Kalkine for more of these expert talks and live market updates. And as we say, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.